back on playing some solo Civ, and I'm joined by my sister, Rebecca, who's in Alaska. Yeah, say hi. What time is it there?
It's 9:52 at night.
Oh, it's 7:52 a.m. where I am. So, Rebecca spent a little bit of time in the hospital that I'm supporting. She gave birth to my niece while she was there, and I just wanted to get her on so she could talk about the experience and how the hospital helped take care of my niece. So, Rebecca, you can just kind of tell us what you want about the experience.
Um, I think I get asked a lot when people hear about Leslie, if I would have rather been in the lower 48, closer to major hospitals. And I generally answer people with, no, I think I got the best medical care in the world, even being in Alaska. Is from taking care of me for 5 weeks and pushing off Lexi, actually making her grandparents, to deciding to take Lexi when they did, as opposed to waiting until when she was in distress. She spent 79 days in the NICU unit after being born 13 weeks early. She ended up going home before her due date, which was pretty amazing. Nobody thought she would do that either. Obviously, the farther we still get away from it, it's still an emotional experience, going back and thinking about it, about what could have happened and what didn't happen. But she spent the 79 days in the NICU unit. 2 weeks into her stay in the NICU unit, she had her first surgery. And then she didn't have any more surgeries while in the NICU, but we were later sent back to Providence, and they performed another surgery because she had life-threatening acid reflux, and my God, that she would have died. Every time she was eating, she was having reflux so bad that she was choking to death.
Ugh.
So, say Providence has saved her life more than once would be an understatement. So, and I have friends who are there right now in similar situations, and they're still doing the same thing. So, I have a friend who is 30 weeks pregnant with triplets, and
Oy.
they were able to stop her preterm labor and actually send her home. So
You were there prior to your daughter being born. How long were you there?
5 weeks.
So 5 weeks, and then how long was she in the NICU?
She was 79 days, so just over 2 months.
Just over 2 months. And how old was she exactly?
2.5 months.
And when she was born, how old was she exactly?
She's 7.5.
No, I meant when she was born. How early was she exactly?
Oh, she was 26 weeks.
26 weeks.
5 days.
And at the time, that was one of the earliest, possible times you could, like the ages you could be born at and still survive.
She tried coming at 21 weeks, and when we went to the hospital, it was, they asked us what we wanted to do, and it was a decision of either let them try and see what they could do, or take a part nature take its course. And really, until 24 weeks, babies who are born, the chances of survival are very low. At 24 weeks, NICU doctor came in and was like, what do you guys want to do this week? He came in every week to talk to us. And we just kind of looked at her like, if she comes, you do whatever you can. And she just wrote that on her chart that from that point out, they do whatever possible to keep us. Prior to that, we had to make her comfortable, don't let her suffer.
Yeah. I remember there being, like when because I had to watch this from afar, because you guys were in Alaska, I was in Georgia at the time. I remember seeing a couple pictures that kind of stood out to me of her in this bed unit with you guys reaching in through these gloves that were attached to the side. Those beds are not exactly cheap, are they?
No, she was in the giraffe bed, and it's a really cool bed. But she was in one of the few that they had at the NICU at the time. They now have all giraffe beds in the NICU now. But basically the top goes all the way up, the side drop down, so they have to perform surgery. One of Lexi's surgeries was performed literally right in the together.
Oh.
But the giraffe bed with no extras, just bare minimum was $6,500 a day. That doesn't include medicine or oxygen or anything else that they need. That was just
$6,500 a day?
Yeah. We joke around that that's the most expensive bed she'll ever sleep in.
Quite possibly.
So, but she is our $1 million baby.
Yeah. That tab would run up really fast.
And she was in that bed for 6 weeks. Yeah. Imagine that. She was in level 3 NICU, and then they moved her down, and she graduated from the giraffe bed to an actual crib where she could get her body temperature. And then she graduated to her big girl bed. And but that took 6 weeks.
So the bed itself costs $6,500 a day to use. If they were to say one of those beds would need to be replaced, how much would that? Do you remember how much that would cost?
I have no idea.
I would imagine it
I
was.
never asked that question. Oh, yeah, it's pretty clear.
There was a story I saw once about and actually I think you mentioned it also, about a nurse whose husband ended up, building a bed similar to that, and then it turned out later his NICU wife nurse ended up needing that bed for their daughter.
I remember the story, but I can't remember the name of the doctor or anything like that, but I remember the story.
Yeah, I think he actually said the bed at the time, and it's probably more expensive now, but at the time, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago, was $10,000 just to get the bed installed.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine it. Yeah, if it costs $6,500 a day, that's a lot of them. That's a lot of money.
And that's bare minimum. That's not with any medicines included. The only thing that includes is their diapers. Because I remember my friends were buying preemie diapers for Lexi, and they're like, "Here's diapers you take to the hospital." I'm like, "Oh no, that's covered."
Yeah.
So it was like the hospital. And in the beginning, she was even too small for preemie diapers. They have micro preemie diapers, which Lexi's considered a micro preemie because she was born under 30 weeks and under 3 pounds. The micro preemie diapers didn't even fit her. So they were just kind of placed under her and pulled over her just to be there.
So how much did she weigh again when she was born?
She was 2 pounds, but she dropped down to 1 pound 13 ounces.
And if I
fit in my 2 hands.
If I remember, it was multiple surgeries when she was in the NICU, correct?
And she had a fine Mason done, but that's actually the only surgery she had in the NICU.
Okay.
When she left, so she got out at 37 weeks, and Mom stayed for a week after she got out of the NICU, and the night that we took Mom to the airport, we got her home and I was feeding her, and she essentially aspirated on her own when she was eating. And those little plungers that get used when you're in the hospital for kids to suck their nose out, or hookers out of their nose, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If that thing is devastating, if we hadn't had one, I don't think Lexi would have survived the first incident. So we used that to protect her nose and her whole attic. I got having seizures, what led me to go back to the hospital within weeks. We actually dealt with it for a couple of weeks at home, which sounds crazy now, hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
But we dealt for it for a couple weeks at home, and I was finding that something's not right. And I thought she was having seizures because her eyes would start rolling back in her head, and they would start bulging, and that her tummy was just so rock hard and bloated. And so I took her into the hospital, and they couldn't find no record of a seizure. The only thing they found was a cracked rib. So we had to go through this whole process of, did we crack the rib, or was she born with a cracked rib? And it turned out it actually happened in the NICU, but because everything else that was going on in the NICU, it didn't get documented in her records. But thankfully, an airman at the hospital on J-Bear also moonlighted at the Providence Hospital, and he was like, well, we should check our NICU records. And that was there. And then J-Bear decided that she needed to be sent back off base, and that's where they discovered she had that life-threatening acid reflux, and you can have surgery next Tuesday or next Wednesday.
For the uninitiated, J-Bear is actually, it's Joint Base Elmendorf, and what's the R? Richardson. That's a Air Force and Army base in Anchorage, which is where Providence of Alaska is located. That's actually the hospital that my fundraising is going to support. I'm actually $50 shy of my first push goal, so doing pretty good this year.
Cool.
So you also got a lot of support from the March of Dimes, correct?
Yeah. When we were there, they had Jenny was their representative, and she had twins who were born in the NICU. Her daughter survived, her son did not. But she was just the parent representative. She didn't work for the hospital. She was there to talk with parents and just kind of talk you through some of the things to expect. If you had a serious issue, she was kind of there to advocate for us.
Okay.
And just to say, hey, I've been there. She gave toys to Jackson when he was waiting in the hallway with Grandma while he was going to the NICU, because taking a 13-month-old into the NICU is not exactly easy.
Jackson is Lexi's older brother, correct? For those that don't know.
So, but there, Mom and I were coming, either we were coming or going from the hospital one day, and she stopped me in the parking lot, and she was like, the March Dimes would like to come in and take pictures with you guys. Yeah, no strings attached. We weren't going to pay for them or anything. It was just they wanted to take pictures, and we would get the disc when we left. And so I went home and I told Justin, and we showed up the next day. We did a video earlier this year because the March of Dimes actually came out and made a video interview for one of their fundraising events. But I told that interviewer that, when you're sitting there, you don't know if you're leaving with your child. You can only leave with the sip at the end of the day. But we're lucky to have Lexi, but we have some really beautiful pictures that they took of Lexi, Justin, and I while we were in the NICU.
One of those, there's a picture that I remember of you holding her close to your chest and looking down and kissing her forehead with her head kind of facing towards where the camera is. I think the cameraman was to your left, or maybe it was to your right. That was a picture that I remember seeing that, and that kind of hit me really hard, especially because I could see how small she was.
Yeah.
How old was she? I mean, how far past the birth was she at that point?
I don't even think she was a week old.
So at a week old, they let you hold her for the picture?
Actually, I had held Lexi the next day. We went in, our friend Tabitha actually went with us, and we were sitting there because Tabitha had come to see me a lot in the NICU. So we only let 3 people come into the NICU unit to see Lexi. And Tabitha was the first one to come in, and I got to hold her that first day, so she was in 24 hours. They do kangaroo kiss, and it's skin-to-skin contact, and in places like South Africa, where they don't have the medical resources to have a giraffe bed. Doctors have discovered that if we strap babies to the chest of their mothers, a mother can regulate the body temperature 5 to 10 degrees up or down, depending on what the baby needs. And it's just as effective as a NICU unit. I mean, as an isolate.
And regulating the body temperature is really important.
Mm-hmm. So, I remember sitting there one night, and I was holding her, and I was pouring sweat, and I was sitting there, it is really hot in here. She's like, oh no, Lexi's just cold, so your body temperature increased. So you're going to be hot, but she's right where she needs to be.
Oh, okay. So your body temperature increased to compensate for her body temperature being low.
Mm-hmm. That's something only moms can do. While skin-to-skin contact with dad was just as important, moms' bodies are able to compensate the body temperature.
That's fascinating. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So we would wear scent cloths while we were there. We made scent cloths, and the whole time we sit there or all day while we were either not at the NICU unit or whatever, we would wear these little cloths under our clothes on our skin, and then when we would go to the NICU, we'd leave it in her bed with her because it would carry our scent. So she would have that with her when we weren't there too. So that was another big thing that the March of Dimes taught us and the NICU taught us.
That's pretty cool. So you're familiar with the Extra Life event, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What if you had to say something to somebody who's looking at the event, considering donating or considering doing this maybe next year? What would you tell them?
I tell them that our goal as a family is to raise $1 million for the March of Dimes. I feel like they really are the reason why she's here, but without Providence, which both Lexi and Jackson have benefited, Jackson has autism, and Providence is the one that actually where we went to have all the diagnosis and all the testing done. So Providence has helped both of our kids, but without that hospital, Lexi wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because Lexi would have been born on Jay Bear, and they didn't I mean, Providence called and said, Jay Bear, this is above your pay grade. You're going to send her down here tomorrow morning. You can't handle this. And without hospitals like Providence, families that really need the help, there's just not a chance. One of my closest friends was from Barrow, and her and I were both on bed rest together and had our babies within hours of each other. And all of the kids graduated from NICU within hours of each other. Again, if Providence hadn't been there for her, her boys wouldn't be here.
Barrow's a pretty isolated place, so.
Yeah, Barrow is at the opposite as far north as you can get from Anchorage. So, they need the hospitals, because without those, the kids can't get the medical care. It doesn't matter what major breakthroughs the March of Dimes does, or Autism Speak does, or cancer research does. Without hospitals to implement those, there's nothing. So.
Cool. When does that? You guys do an event every year with March of Dimes. That it's a walkathon, correct?
Mhm. We do. Actually, we do 2 events for them now. We do the what was that dinner? We went to a dinner, and I was signature chef, and they have chefs from around the town, like really big chefs, come out and they make their signature dinners, and people pay to eat dinner there. But then they have a silent auction, and they have a family there to represent and tell their stories. But I mean, the auctioning is we sell cakes for $500-$600, and they were not spectacular cakes. But there were other things auctioned off as well. And then there's the March for Babies, and we do that as well. The kids get to do that. And Alaska does, because we're in such a smaller location here in Fairbanks. they always do a birthday cake for Lexi because it's typically around Lexi's birthday. So we really make Lexi feel special and make it a big day. But we go out, and Jackson and Lexi always get excited about going out and walking in the event and telling people we're here for babies and to help babies grow up healthy and strong.
So this really is a
So-
family, a whole family event.
And there's other kids there. I mean, you see the family teams there and you know why they're there. And this year, when we were out walking, there was a family there. It was a mom and a daughter. She had just lost her baby, and she jumped in to do the walk. It had only been a week, and she had come out to get involved with something. So, and this month is actually Prematurity Awareness Month.
Yeah.
So on the 17th, people will be lighting it up purple all across the road.
Well, when is your next walkathon event? Is it in the spring normally?
It used to be in spring, but being in Alaska, we kind of compete for nice weekends to walk.
Yeah,
So
probably not many of them.
no, and not this year, but the year before, the Autism Walk and the March for Babies Walk ended up being at the same time, same location. So March of Dimes bowed out, so it was not to steal thunder from another important walk.
That was nice
So
of them.
it gets a little crowded up here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't have many good weather days. You kind of have to share them.
Yeah, so it was kind of one of those. But typically it's in the spring, but it kind of just whenever you can get an open weekend is when they do that.
So you said that your family's goal was to raise $1 million for the March of Dimes.
Mm-hmm.
So how far along into that goal are you?
We are just under 25,000.
So what you need is some really rich person to come along and donate $900,000.
Yeah.
Yes. Well.
And I need my website to be active, so.
Yeah. That. Well.
The thing with the March of Dimes is by walking here in Alaska, the money we raise, the good majority of that money actually stays in the state of Alaska. A certain amount of it goes on to the federal level or to the national level, but a lot of it stays here in Alaska, and Alaska comes in with a B-grade report card from the March of Dimes. So we have a higher report card level than the rest of the nation. There are a few other things that come in with a B level, but that's kind of cool for us because the money is coming where Lexi was born and helping babies here. So.
And you said that you have a website for the March of Dimes. You probably don't have to have the URL off the top of your head or a short URL for it, but how could people find that if they wanted to go on the March of Dimes and look up your site?
They could go to the March for Babies or March of Dimes website and look up a family team. And if they looked at Lexi May, Lexi, the L is capitalized, and then without a space, a capital M, A, E. Yeah, if they looked at Team Lexi May, they should be able to find that. So, and from what I know, they're going to activate our site sooner because I was talking with the head of the March of Dimes here in Alaska. Well, Jamie, she's not the head of it, but she does a lot of the program management and getting things set up. And I told her, something that we need is our website up sooner so that we can fundraise for a longer period of time.
Yeah, that's something that Extra Life did. Was they started turning on the pages much sooner. I don't remember if it was this year or last year. It opened in January. So as soon as the new year started, there was only like a 1 month period where it wasn't active.
Yeah, I mean, any organization looking to fundraise, the longer they have those websites open, the better. You never know when people are going to have money to donate.
Yeah. You never know when those bonuses are going to come in, and people are going to go, I've got a little extra time to donate.
Exactly. And I kind of talked to her about, it's really important for those blood plates here in Alaska to be asked during PFD time, because when we get our PFD, people have extra money.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Up and ready.
Alaska's unique like that.
Yeah. Maybe you can get some of that.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to tell us about Lexi and your experiences. This video will actually be archived. They'll watch me play Civ and they'll hear you talk.
Okay. Well, good luck. Enjoy your video gaming.
I actually just checked the site before I called you. Today alone, we've already raised over $1.3 million for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Cool.
That brings them.
So Providence will get a portion of that based on your fundraising.
Providence will get a group of everyone who has chosen Providence of Alaska as their hospital, their fundraising. They will get all of it. So I'm pushing for $750 right now. That all 750 of that goes directly to Providence of Alaska. And I'm a part of a team. I received an email a couple weeks ago from the person who's in charge of the region for Extra Life in that region, and it's a large team. Last year they got several. It was up in the $50,000 or $60,000. So, awesome. Yep. I haven't checked for this year what the total for this year's haul is, but I know that up to the beginning of this year, Extra Life had raised $14 million. So, but I mean that's like you heard her say earlier, $6,500. How many was it a day?
That was bare minimum for a day in a level 3 NICU unit. You're
gonna burn through, $1 million pretty quickly at $6,500 a day.
Yeah, and that's just talking about a child who's born premature. You're not looking at other diseases that children might be fighting.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, and you have yourself a good rest of your day.
All right. Have fun.
Thanks. We'll talk to you later. This is my sister talking about her experiences at Providence of Alaska, the hospital that I'm supporting. If you would like to donate, you can go to extra-life.org. Look up Providence of Alaska to see what other people are supporting it. You can go to my page, tiny.cc/elglitch15, and you can support me there to send money to the hospital that helped keep my niece alive. I will be switching games here to go play something new, and actually talking with another person who benefited from the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So we'll see you when I get back on.